Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. This is ML Miller. So we're getting another Wolfman movie as Universal finally starts to develop their dark universe again. But this time around, they seem to be simply satisfied with making good films out of their Universal Monsters properties instead of trying to interlace them with this shared universe. Last week they announced Ryan Gosling is set to star in a new version of the tale of a man cursed to turn into a monster when the light of the moon shines bright. While horror has many, many movies dedicated to the plight of the Wolfman, the lycanthrope, the werewolf, or whatever you'd like to call it, good werewolf movies are really hard to find. Sure, we can list the usual suspects from the 80s, A Company of Wolves, Wolfen, Cat People, Silver Bullet, The Howling, and of course An American Werewolf in London. But go a little further back or forward in time, and there aren't many I would label as truly good. Dog Soldiers, Curse of the Werewolf, Wolf, the Ginger Snaps series, the Underworld series, they all come to mind. More recently, we've had Late Phases, Howl, and I guess I'd consider putting Benicio del Toro's Wolfman in that list, though I found that to be rather soulless. And of course, we can't forget Wolf Cop. Adding Ryan Gosling to the mix definitely will get butts in the seats. The gals love him. The guys want to be as cool as him. He's definitely a good actor. Though he really hasn't been in much that stretches his acting abilities, simply past looking sedate, cool, and above all the shit that's going on around him. I'm sure, even though he might have to stretch his theatrical chops a bit, he'll be able to handle the role nicely. That said, the best star-led werewolf films have been cast with actors who seemed like they were holding back that beast within. Looking at Jack Nicholson or Oliver Reed, one can imagine them holding back a snarling creature inside, ready to pounce and difficult to control. Seeing any of their roles prior to making Wolf or Curse of the Werewolf, it's not a stretch for either actor to play the Wolfman. Both these actors were able to convincingly illustrate man's struggle with his baser instincts in a civilized world, and turned out iconic performances in their respective werewolf films. Gosling, on the other hand, just doesn't really seem like someone with a monster inside of him. He's quiet, he sort of has that boy next door quality, which I guess works if you're talking about a serial killer. But I'd believe a Russell Crowe or a Tom Hardy in the role trying to hold back the wolf before I'd believe Gosling. But I don't think Crowe or Hardy has that mass appeal that Gosling has. I'd even believe in Idris Elba, and I think casting a black man in the role would open up an amazing storytelling opportunity, rich with all kinds of social commentary and racial metaphor. With The Invisible Man, the cause of the resurgence of interest in Universal monsters, current social issues of spousal abuse and the silenced voice of the battered woman were addressed pretty deftly. I'd imagine a new iteration of this Universal monster would have that same sort of revamp as well. Given that Gosling is already cast, I guess the idea of a black werewolf is going to have to be shelved for now. So what kind of societal issues should be addressed in this new Wolfman film? Well, word has it that the stellar film Nightcrawler, not the Marvel Comics character, the movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal, was named as some kind of template or inspiration for this new version of Wolfman. So maybe this is going to be some kind of movie about the ugliness of white privilege and resentment of affirmative action in the white male community. That would be a monster the ever-pious Hollywood set would trip over their dicks to make. Still, look at every werewolf movie from Teen Wolf to Wolf, and it focuses on a man using the beast within to address his role in the dog-eat-dog world of business. That movie's been made before, and while I think it might be a possibility this might be the issue that they tackle in Wolfman, I'm hoping for a road a little less traveled, less full of bait for those watching to scream for or against it in online forums. One route I think would have great potential would be associating lycanthropy to the subject of addiction. Gosling has already played an addict in Half Nelson and did it pretty convincingly. Associating addiction with the beast within is another meaty topic for a Wolfman film to sink its teeth into, addressing the hunger and yearning for the drug, the blackouts, and the ravishing satisfaction of giving in to those urges. This would be a good metaphor to drive a new film, but at the same time, it'd be an easy one. The new director of The Wolf Man is yet to be announced, and maybe that will tell us what route the film will decide to take to make this version of Wolfman as unique as 2020's Invisible Man was to the original film. The film is set to be made from a pitch Gosling provided himself, and he was set to direct himself as well, but has since bowed out of that position. The script was written by Lauren Schuker Bloom and Rebecca Angelo of Orange is the New Black fame, but the search for the director is still on. I've heard that an announcement is set to come soon. While I'm open to any and all kinds of thematics at play, I do have one demand for this film, and maybe someone out there in movie-making land is listening. My issue with practically every werewolf movie is, and has always been, the transformation scene. I know it's a must for all movies of this type, a chance for the CG or practical effects wizards to really strut their stuff and show the progression of how they were able to make a human being transform into a wolf monster. This is a time-honored tradition that goes all the way back to the very first Wolfman. And of course, this Wolfman will have a scene showing the transformation in great deal and much spotlight. But there's a way of doing it without skidding the momentum of the film to a complete halt. And that's what the transformation scene usually does. Think of one of the best werewolf films, The Howling. Pretty good, huh? But this film is one of the guiltiest of this sin. There's a scene late in the film where a woman is in a room with Robert Picardo, who is about to undergo the transformation into a werewolf. The woman stands there and screams as Picardo writhes and twists, howls and gurgles, shifts and morphs. The camera pops back and forth between the screaming woman and the transformation for a good couple of minutes. But why the hell is this woman not running away at the first sign of some kind of weirdness going on? Instead, she stands awkwardly, trying to put some kind of variation to her many terrified screams, and watches the entire transformation unfold, only to be killed once the transformation is complete. Please, Universal, don't do that. If you're going to have a transformation scene, either trap the people witnessing it in the same room with them with no chance for escape, or just do what the most famous werewolf movie, An American Werewolf in London, did and have the transformation happen when the soon-to-be Wolfman is alone. I understand that the person watching the transformation is supposed to be the mirror image of the audience wincing and screaming at the transformation itself. But gluing them in place while a long metamorphosis takes place is hard to take and often downright laughable. It works so much better when we saw David Naughton witness his own transformation and see how shocked he was at the extension of his hands, the distortion of his back and legs, and his final transformations into the wolf creature. That demand aside, I can't wait to see what Universal comes up with. Gosling is an interesting choice, and if it's taken seriously, this could be another awesome film, just like The Invisible Man was. I have high hopes for this one. We'll be keeping a close eye on it as it develops. Thanks for listening to me rant. Please hit the like button if you liked what you just watched. Don't forget to share this video with your pals and social media. And be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you never miss an installment of ML Miller Frights. Thanks again, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality.